Welcome to this episode of Scroll Sessions. We're going to dive in today all in with Trevor Farnes, the CEO and co-founder of MTN Ops, a company that is dedicated not only to just energizing outdoor enthusiasts, but also nourishing kids in need through their innovative Operation Conquer Hunger, which has fed 6 million kids since inception, which is an incredible feat. From his personal mission to enhancing lives of his commitment to social responsibility, Trevor completely embodies the spirit of, I think, true leadership and entrepreneurship, and I'm excited to have you on.
Thanks. No, it's my privilege. Thanks for the invitation. This
Yeah.
is awesome.
Yeah, you bet. Appreciate it. Can you just start by telling us a little bit of the background of MTN Ops, kind of how it came to be? Give just your elevator pitch, so to speak, after having done this for so many years.
Yeah, I don't know if it needs to be a long elevator or a short one, but there's quite the story behind it. It actually started into supplements about 4 years before MTN Ops and started a product for cardiovascular disease, mainly to help my dad who had some issues with neuropathy and blood pressure at the time, and created a product that as soon as we put him on it, he started to see some major benefits and results. And so we knew we were onto something, built that up and was really focused on that for a period of time, selling through doctors' offices, and was loving that. But it was a real slow, steady growth. I wanted to have more connection
Gross.
to the, I wanted explosive. I was okay with slow, steady because I had gone through some business failures.
Yeah.
And I tried to get that really quick, rapid growth. And
Yeah.
sometimes it just doesn't happen that way. Most times it doesn't, So
Yeah.
I had learned some lessons that way. But what I was lacking, what I was really hoping for was to find a connection with the community that I could really get involved in. And so not that I wasn't seeing that with the previous business. That business has now gone on. It's in its 14th year. But I really wanted to be in touch with an end consumer with these products. I knew they were working for people. These doctors we were selling through, they were seeing great results with their patients. But I wasn't having that connection with the patient,
Yeah.
So actually connected with some guys to do some marketing for that business. Guys right here in Davis County, the Harbison brothers. Joel Pilcher.
Yeah.
They had a marketing agency, met with them, found out they were doing most of their marketing within the hunting and outdoor industry, which was not a space I was familiar with. I grew up in the outdoors, and here in Utah, it's kind of hard not to. You go out and you enjoy it, biking, hiking, those types of things, but I'd never hunted. When they told me that's where they were focused, I just asked, was there a place for supplements like these in the hunting industry? And their eyes kind of lit up, and there was this big hunter-athlete movement at the time with some major brands, but there wasn't a consumable brand leading the way. So we decided to partner together, and with their marketing and branding skills, they went to work on creating what the brand is. I was on the back end, operations, finance, and really what I love to focus on is culture within the business and organization. And in 2014, July of 2014, we're coming up on 10 years this July.
It's amazing, man.
We launched MTN Ops.
I still remember hearing about the brand because I'm not old by any means. I'm a pretty young dude. But I remember in high school, it was definitely the talk of the town, especially here locally because it was a local brand. It was a Kaysville brand, And so I do remember the early days and just seeing the brand out and about and just thinking, this is super cool, what you guys are doing.
And it was branded such a way that people thought, oh, this is awesome.
Yes.
I'll wear it, I'll buy the apparel. And sometimes that's how people connect with us is they're like, I'm not sure exactly what this is, but I like the shirts, like their hats, I'll dive in. And then they get introduced to what we're actually doing with the products and what we're doing in the community. And we resonated with an audience that really hadn't been introduced to supplements. These guys were not... They weren't shopping in GNC. They weren't working out in Gold's Gym. They were going to God's Gym, and they were enjoying that. And nobody was really speaking their language until MTN Ops came onto the scene. And so we went after an audience where our customers were taking supplements, 70% of them, for the very first time. And so that was kind of our hurdle in the beginning, was we needed to educate them on why they need this.
Yeah.
But it was a passionate group of individuals that this is it's what they eat, sleep, and drink, hunting. They want to be in the outdoors. Even if they're not, they usually hunt 7 to 10 days a year, but our products could activate the passion that they had for the hunt every single day they took them. So it was something that they gravitated to.
Yeah.
Just grabbed onto, and it's grown really well and pretty quick. So
I know it's amazing. The trajectory especially the last, I think, with 5-6 years has been really, really cool because it's kind of evolved too. In the early days of MTN Ops, how did you foster that community? I think that's something that I think you guys have done especially well in that D2C space. And I think it's hard to do. I think it's becoming more critical, especially post iOS 14 and post all the attribution issues and all this stuff. Fostering the community is huge. But how did you guys do that in the early days?
when you don't have a big budget, you kind of have to get out and you have to be with the people. And we bootstrapped this. I mean, we weren't coming from a lot of money. I came from some financial setbacks that we call it our 7 years of famine, where just things were not going our way. And even the business that I had started for the doctor's offices, it was a slow, steady growth. So we were covering some bills, but not all. The partners I partnered with as well, they were kind of on there building up business as well. So it wasn't like we came with deep pockets. And so what we decided to do that's contrary to a lot of supplement brands, because there's a ton of supplement brands out there.
Yes.
I wouldn't call them brands, but supplement products and companies.
Especially the last 10 years. I think just white labeling has become very easy to do.
And people can hide behind a screen and they can sell, they can claim whatever they want.
Yeah.
What I found when I got into supplements that my very first year was that I'd go to a website selling a weight loss product and they'd have a before and after picture. And then I'd go to a completely different company's website and they'd have the same before and after picture. They were just buying stock images. And so there was no community being built. It was a very fragmented marketplace within supplements, not a lot of loyalty, people jumping from one business to the other, whatever promo code they could get. And there was a lot of people just hiding behind the screen, selling the product, claiming it would do X, Y, and Z. And it just wasn't the truth for the most case.
Yeah.
And so what we decided to do is let's build a brand that we can actually let people into our lives. These are products that for years I've had my own family taking. They've improved my father's life. They've improved my brother's life. They've improved all of those that we've worked with. So we trusted the product. Why not let people know who we are? So let's go to events. Let's sample it out. I mean, the biggest thing to really get people trying it is to give them free product. And so at these events, you know, they'd taste it, love the taste, they'd feel it, they felt the difference. And that's key to first creating something that people want to be a part of. And then having a brand, having a community where we're out there front and center, people could know who we are. And that could build trust through that connection. And then, just showing up in the right places at the right time with the right product, it was key and critical, and we hit it at the right time. So,
I love that.
But then partnering with the right ambassadors that were out in the space, who we could leverage their audience to say, hey, could we get in front of your audience with our product, with our message? That was key. And it couldn't be ambassadors that lived contrary to our core values. I mean, when we established this business, they had to align. Even from the first business that I started, there was an alignment of core values that we would not stray from. Yeah. And we would run our business this way. And if people saw that, felt it, and knew that it wasn't just words on a wall, then maybe there'd be a connection they could understand. And those that resonate with this, they're part of the community. Everyone's welcome. But sometimes the bold stance that we take with our core values, they don't align with everyone. And they had to with the ambassadors and the partners that we partnered with. Or else it would just be, not congruent. It wouldn't come across right to the community. So we put ourselves out there. And then we got involved in the community doing charity work that was very relevant to our own life's experience. And so people could see that this isn't just a marketing scheme to say, hey, they're out there doing good to check off that box. No, it came from the heart. It came from experience that we had that was actually super relevant in our lives that we had chosen to do long before we even started Mountain Ops.
No, I think it's amazing. I think family and service has been a huge core, not only to you, I think you personally, but to your family, to the brand. How do you, I don't know if balance is the right word, because as an entrepreneur myself, there's not really anything such as balance. Yeah. It's more about there's times and seasons and you just do things when you need to do them. Yeah. But like, how do you personally kind of juggle the family, the business, and also the intermingling of them too?
I think you've got to be super intentional. It's got to be important and genuine to you. And I think we all set out to build a business where the family could be involved in any aspect if needed. Like they could show up to an event and be proud of what their fathers were doing, They could show up and participate and they'd be welcome to be there. It wasn't this, I don't know, to me, you are who you are, wherever you are. That's been my approach. So I'm not going to compartmentalize my life for business, church, family, community, and I'm this way in this sphere and this way over here. So you just look at that as a whole and say, okay, what are we trying to do? What's the approach to life? We want to treat people well. We want to serve people. We want to, I want to point people to Christ at times, That's a little different. I'm not out there preaching to them through business, but I want to let them know that my faith is important. I want them to know that family's important. So you'll see the family. When we started Mountain Ops, I didn't hunt, but it became something I wanted to get in. I could see the passion, and I wasn't okay with just fueling that passion. Yeah, I had to participate.
Experience it.
But I would only do it if I could include my family in it, because I didn't want one more thing as an entrepreneur to take me away from family. Yeah. So it's like, this can be something that we do together. We can capture content together. We can experience this connection together. It can be great for the business. It can be great for the relationship. Nothing's ever really balanced, right? But when you're in those spheres, and when I'm with my children, when I'm with my wife, they've hopefully got my attention. I'm there. I'm a husband. I'm a father. Yeah, I'm a business owner. I'm a businessman. But first and foremost, I'm a husband and father. So hopefully, even in the workplace, we're helping each other to improve at home, and at home improving in those spheres of life. We come to the office in a better mentality because we're winning at home. So we focus at Mountain Ops on when you go home, be present. And if there's something you need to take care of there, that's first and foremost. And so I think we've just allowed it to be a safe place at Mountain Ops within the culture that we are who we are. And we're lived by these core values that aren't core values just to be lived when you're at Mountain Ops. Like, these are things that can bless your life in any realm of your life.
That's amazing. And I feel like the culture of Mountain Ops is very, I guess, palpable is probably a good word for it, outside of probably your internal culture. Like, I know people that have worked for your company. I know personal friends that have. I hear stories. I hear about the Harvards and all of these things from somebody who's not on the inside, and hear just amazing things. What's been to you like the key of kind of keeping that culture as you guys have more or less like grown extensively over the last 10 years?
Yeah. I believe, and you've probably heard this quote, you can't give what you don't have. So we focus on the people inside the walls of Mountain Ops first and foremost. If they're not doing well, if they're not feeling it, then they're not going to do well to our customers, to the community we've built. So for me, honestly, it's been a real strong focus on culture. I call it our conquer culture, and it's everything to us. And so as you grow, the key, I feel, is to keep your mission at the forefront. That's the North Star. And what aligns you to that mission, always looking there, are the core values you put in place. And again, they can't just be written on the wall. They have to be trained. We train on them every month. We actually have 12 core values.
You want to cite them off?
There's a lot of them, right? Yeah. But we did 12. When we first started Mountain Ops, it was 9. Then we added 3 more to round out the year. So every month there's a core value. This month it's diligence. We start the year off with recognizing God. And recognizing that this year, as we set goals, we need his input, we need his collaboration, we want to seek his counsel. And because this is a business that does good, it's affecting people's lives. And they're children of God, and that's the way we look at it. And so we focus in that way. We end the year in December with the core value of joy, because looking throughout the journey, we should be experiencing joy. And hopefully at the end of the year, we can look back and say, there was joy in this journey. And so every month we train on that. Every month there's what we call our Conquer More Challenge. I write about it in my book. It's the Conquer Code. It's broken out into spiritual, physical, mental, social. And the team every month has an accountability partner, and it's randomized. So throughout the year you have different accountability
interact
partners.
With everybody. Yeah, I love that.
And you set goals according to those 4 quadrants and with the core value of the month right in the middle. And so we're always focused on it. And if we're always focused on it, we're improving one step at a time. It's not like this major, like, I've got to do X, Y, and Z. It's no, like, conquer more, one little thing at a time. And once you get that down, then set another goal, add something to it, conquer a little more, a little better tomorrow than today, a little better today than yesterday. That's the whole premise of the Conquer More Challenge. And then we get to interact with each other. There's accountability. We're living true to the core values, which are key. I mean, those are our non-negotiables.
Yeah.
And as long as we align with those and we act according to those and we choose to align with them, we enhance the brand experience that our team has and then the community has with our team. But if we go contrary to those core values, we diminish the impact and effect that they can have. And then the mission that we have out in the forefront starts to diminish as well. We never want that to happen. And at Mountain Ops, I would say we're a face-to-face, one-on-one, knee-to-knee type company. You know, we build it as a community. It's hard to do in mass scale. We're doing it, but there's still some type of personal connection we create with every individual at some level or another. And so whenever we can get out and we're with the people, because of what we've experienced at Mountain Ops, people just feel the energy and the vibe that comes from the team members, and they really are the secret sauce. I trust all of them to just get out and represent the brand, you know?
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing what you guys have done. And I think especially pivoting the brand to really do a lot of good and social good and Operation Conquer Hunger and all that stuff. Like, I think that's been a huge driver, I think, for your personal mission and vision for what you guys want to do. I mean, feeding at 6 million, right?
We're about to hit the 6 million mark, and growing. It's
unbelievable. Tell me a little bit about how that came about and why it's become a huge piece of what you guys do.
Yeah. And that's good that you say that a huge piece of what we do. We often say it's a small part of what we do, but a huge piece of who we are. It's probably the biggest piece of who we are, right?
Yeah.
It came about from personal experience. I believe that in life we're given experiences that open our eyes to the need around us. They give us perspective. And if we choose to have the eyes to see, we'll see, in my opinion, what the Lord is trying to direct us to see.
Yeah.
And what we can take from that and how it can benefit our lives, but not just our lives, but the lives of those around us in the future. And so in 2007, my wife and I went off on our own after a really good run with I was working for my brothers, saving up a lot of our commissions. I was selling pharmaceuticals, and we decided in 2007 to go off and try our wings at business. That was kind of the goal. We put money away to do that. Two opportunities piqued my interest: real estate, which had I known what was right around the corner in 2008, and I would have run the other direction, and then a franchise that we bought into. And that's where we tried to go too big, too fast. We bought into a handful of them, not just one. And so we paid for 7 franchise fees, furnished 7 stores, hired 7 friends to run those stores, and bought the inventory for those stores, signed 5-year personal guarantees on those stores. And then after being open for about 3 to 4 months, the franchise was shut down, and we had to get put on pause while there was a little bit of an investigation going on. Some things that were out of our control.
Yeah.
And there's things that are going to happen to us that are out of our control. It doesn't matter if it's in business or life, and it just happens, right? And I don't fault anyone. I mean, for a period of time, I was really upset. I felt like we were having to start over because we pretty much lost everything. Somehow stayed in our home, didn't go through bankruptcy. There was just miracle after miracle. But food was the topic of conversation all the time between me and my wife. You've got young children, right?
Yeah.
We had young children at the time. As a father, the last thing you want is to not be able to feed them. I mean, they don't know if you're not making the mortgage payment or the car payment or this. They know when they go to the pantry and there's not a lot there.
Yeah.
That was the situation that my wife and I were in at the time. And so we would have people drop off groceries at our doorstep all the time, just ring and run, and we'd come to the door and there was groceries, and we would always recognize, like, man, this was such a miracle in our life. And one delivery had some cheese whiz in it, and my daughter just went crazy because that was like striking gold for her. And so it was somebody that dropped that cheese whiz off was super intentional. Yeah. They had to have known that was like striking gold to her, but we couldn't afford it. It might have been on her Christmas list that year, and so what I found through that, there was individuals that sometimes helped us meet the need. And then there were some individuals that went above the need and they helped us with the desire, like the cheese whiz. And I loved it, and it just inspired me. And so my wife and I, being a faith-based family and even an organization, during those struggling times, we relied on our faith. We turned to our Savior. We prayed often. We fasted often. We were doing everything we could just to seek the Lord's help because that's the source we knew we could find it. That's what you do. And it brought us together as a couple. And it brought us together to the point that I remember one night we were talking and we decided that, hey, as soon as we can, let's make some type of donation towards feeding hungry children, helping parents feel the relief that have children that aren't being fed, because we know what that feels like. There's a quote, you're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. Well, for whatever reason during that, we had decided, like, we're going to figure this out now. We don't have much to give, but the loaves and fishes that Christ multiplied, we just thought as soon as we have a few loaves and fishes, we're going to give it. And we're not going to wait till the boat comes in full, because honestly, I didn't expect the boat to come in full. I felt like a failure during that time, but I also felt like God was opening my eyes to the need around me that I did not know existed. 1 in 4 kids right here where we live go home without enough food in the pantry. And we were starting to see that was our family. We were that 1 in 4, and our eyes were opened, our hearts were opened, our minds were open. And so we decided and we committed to each other that we would make this happen. And so at that time, we started making a $22 donation to a foundation in Malawi, Africa. It would feed a child for 30 days. That was a stress for us. Like, $22 wasn't easy to come by. That could have bought the cheese whiz. That could have bought a few extra $5 pizzas from but we decided to do that. And what I've seen in my life, going back to the loaves and fishes, is that when you give those loaves and fishes, it comes back 12 baskets full. And we have watched that time and time again. And sometimes it's not financial resources. Sometimes it's just in certain ways. Maybe it's connection. Maybe it's more time and attention to things that matter most. But we started to multiply those. When we started MTN Ops, we had already started to build up a little bit of, it wasn't called Operation Conquer Hunger. It was just kind of our family's initiative to feed the hungry. But I started to see all these correlations between going out on the mountain, feeding my family. And I love that. That's what intrigued me about hunting the most when we first got started. I was like, I get to bring home some protein for my family. We were also helping people supplement their nutrition, and people were paying $200 a month for that. While there's families around the world that can't fathom a meal, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And so all these correlations were coming together, and that commitment that my wife and I have made with each other, this started to feel like, okay, here's the inspiration coming. This is where you
This
start.
is where we're going to do it.
And so Joel Pilcher came up with Operation Conquer Hunger. He's an amazing designer, and we were off to the races, and we had one of our first events here with a local church community youth group, and we donated the biggest donation that the Bountiful Food Pantry had ever received, and it wasn't massive at the time. It was a big donation for them. But what we found through that was that here in Davis County, there was a huge wait list of schools that weren't getting those. And so we thought, okay, first thing we got to check off the list is let's get all those schools off of the wait list. And so we started to build. And every order that comes through Mountain Ops, we donate a meal to a child in need. And we'll hit that 6 million meal mark. This July, it's our 10-year anniversary. We're a part of a huge event down at the Salt Palace with New Skin, the Jazz, Larry H. Miller Group, a few others. And we're a major contributor. And we're going to break a Guinness Book of World Record in one day to pack the most meals in a day.
That's awesome.
And it will be somewhere close to 1 million meals that day.
Wow.
At most of our events, we're doing 40 to 50,000 meals. And then up at the Mountain Ops office, we always keep an assembly line of food that if families, youth groups, teams want to come, they can come up and pack, a few thousand at a time. But we do a handful of events throughout the year where we're packing 50, 60,000 meals within about an hour to an hour and a half.
That's amazing.
And it's been incredible. It definitely has felt like something that we've been called to do, and we feel a stewardship over the experiences that we once had.
Yeah.
And now we understand the need, and we're trying to do something with it. It's an experience that a lot of people go through financial difficulty and such, right? So it's not very uncommon. But I think what Mountain Ops is doing is uncommon, the response to that need. So
well, it's come full circle for you guys. And what an amazing story, too. I think sometimes you do have to experience almost hitting rock bottom to kind of put it in perspective. And you guys have, taken it and just run with it tenfold. Do you feel like is that for you like the most rewarding part of doing what you do?
100%. Watching my team rally around it, watching my family, everyone come together with a common goal and common purpose. Like, I'm definitely just a very small cog in the wheel, and we've got this amazing team with just hearts of gold, and they attack this, and they want with everything they have to feed as many hungry children as possible. And so we create good products, we build community to improve lives. The beautiful thing about it is our customers say, okay, I'm going to buy one of our products, one of these products, and then in return, it's going to benefit me, but it's going to benefit a child in need. And so it's an amazing system that I think more businesses could adopt into what they're doing, especially if there's some relevancy to what they've been through or that can tie it to them. And they have these life's moments and perspectives. And it's like, where can you go back and provide for the need of someone who you understand, with that empathy?
Yeah, totally. And how do you guys balance, obviously, doing social good in a for-profit business, right? There is a balance between the two. Do you guys feel like it obviously has also, I think, bolstered the brand and helped the brand too, and you guys have had a massive impact? But maybe just share a little bit of insight there.
I think that has to be relevant to what you're doing, and it has to be genuine to who you are. Again, like I said before, it's not just something like, okay, they chose whatever, XYZ,
donation,
so they can check it off, and there's just money going to that every month. If it started out that way, we were sending more money to that Malawi Africa Foundation, and that was good, but it didn't mean a whole lot other than, okay, they're sending some money there, until we had a hands-on opportunity. And we were like, with this youth group, we said we could bring our team together to do this, we could bring our customers together to do this. And when people have an experience with you, they never leave you. They have a transformation with you, they become your brand disciples. And so this at Mountain Ops gives people an experience with us, and they start to see, okay, we're kind of cut from the same cloth. I understand their heart and soul. I'm the same way. We can come together and do good. And so I'm going to try more of their product. I'm going to dive into this brand a little more. There's a connection now. I'm not leaving because we're doing good together. And it is something that our customers understand. This is a resource they provide us to work with. And even our retail partners. We just did a huge event. We packed about 50,000 meals with Sportsman's Warehouse. We've been selling through their doors for about 9 years now. We had this Operation Conquer Hunger event about 3 weeks ago, and they're like, why have we not done this before? But at that point, they start to understand the brand a little bit more, that it's not just a product, but that there's something to it. And
there's a community.
There's a community. It's genuine. There's a story behind it, the reason for it. Wasn't just started with Mountain Ops. It actually started before, where a family was donating $22 because they were experiencing it. So when you lay all that out, it just becomes kind of seamless, and it makes sense. It's not just something fabricated to make you look good. I don't need to be on the stage. I want to share the awareness with people because there is a need around us. It's incredible. Even in Davis County, there's some schools that are 75% of their kids down in Bountiful that need this. And so we can't do it alone. we're
Yeah,
trying
my
to build
wife
an
taught
army.
in some schools in Bountiful, and she would come home with plenty of stories. You would never think, I think, growing up here, I think we grew up very privileged in Utah, and I think for the most part, you almost kind of feel like it's a little bit of a bubble, like that stuff doesn't happen here, but it does.
Yeah.
It definitely does.
KSL Deseret News just did an article on it, and the interesting negative comments in there that's like, prove it, there's not this many kids at this, and even it's interesting to read that, but the proof is there and the need is there, and it can't just, I mean, we're trying to assemble the army to go after and get it. And it doesn't have to just come through Mountain Ops. We love partnerships with all sorts of people, and we're trying to make an impact. Yeah, it's whatever we can do to help these families. And to be honest, we're filling a belly, but more than that, think of these children who go to school on an empty stomach, like the distraction that is for them when they go and they're trying to learn, they're trying to connect with teachers, they're trying to connect with friends, and they're distracted. And we've all felt it. Everyone in this world has felt like, oh, I need some food. That's a distracting feeling. It's almost the only thing you can think of until you fill your belly. So what we're trying to do is put some food in their belly, remove the distraction, inspire some hope and confidence in them, their lives, what they can do in school, what they can do in the community. And hopefully this is a generational impact, not just putting food in their belly, but honestly, the inspiration, the hope, and the confidence that they can glean from this is what Mountain Ops is all about. It's helping them conquer more. It's helping them conquer that mountain that's in front of them.
I love that. And I think the community has made a huge impact for you guys. Has there been any times where the community and maybe the social good that you've done has helped pivot or move things in a different direction or move things forward?
Yeah, I think especially with right now, we're seeing it with our retail partners. We have a big group that sells through farm and fleet type stores like Cow Ranch. And if you go outside of the state, there's Murdoch's and a bunch of those types of stores like the Tractor Supply types, you know. They invited us. We were vendor of the year through this organization. And so because of that, they invited us out to an opportunity in South Carolina on an island, Kiowa Island, last year. They had known the good we were doing in the community, but they didn't know that they were really part of the resource to provide that good. So they invited us there. We got to meet with all the owners and buyers of these stores that make up a $1 billion, that's like a $6 billion business. They had us there, but they asked us to provide an Operation Conquer Hunger event. So this is the first one out of state. So we had our director of Operation Conquer Hunger, Cheryl. She flew out to South Carolina. We're on an island. We had to work with Costco's and Sam's Clubs and all these to get food stored up. And then we found a food bank there that was in desperate need of more food. And so it's not a surprise. Anytime we go to a different location now, they are in desperate need. And then so we actually went to this event, put it on, and there was about 300 to 400 people there. At the end of it, we had one of our suppliers or one of the owners of one of these stores come up, hand us a $35,000 check and said, will you use this to buy food and to come up to Murdoch's in Bozeman, Montana to run this same event for all of our management team, all of our employees. So in June, we go up there to do that. We're super excited. But what that's done is it solidifies a relationship that was already strong. But once people get to know, okay, this is who you are, like this is who we're dealing with, there's trust, and trust is everything. And then once trust is built, they just propels the relationship forward. So being out in the community, doing those types of events, it's helped, especially with our retail partnerships, and then any of our customers that can come to the events. And a lot of them have, but there's so many around the country that haven't been able to come to one of these events. It just solidifies in their mind, their heart, and their soul, like, this is something I want to be a part of. I'm committed to this. So we're trying to facilitate those events around the country right now, have many planned this year throughout the country, and so our customers can come and be a part. And we hope a lot of them come to that July event to celebrate our 10-year anniversary, celebrate with some big brands here in Utah, and hit a world record with it. And I'm less concerned about the world record, but the awareness that this will bring to the community, that this is something that brands and people are getting involved in, and there's a real need, is what I hope from it. So
Oh, that's amazing. I'm excited. I think we're definitely going to show up for the event in July. Did you say you just went to Bozeman, or you're just going? You're going in June?
We did. Yeah.
I went to my sister. My sister's in Bozeman.
Oh, sweet.
So
we've got 2 events up there this year. One like the 3rd week of June with a group called Mountain Tough in Bozeman. And then Murdoch's is at the end of June. And that will be up there as well. So 2 weeks in a row, we'll be up in Bozeman. We've done one up there last June. We actually hit our 5 million meal mark last June up there in Bozeman, and pretty cool. That was one of those moments with our team too that was just like this incredible moment where you never thought it'd be for the masses, but then you hit 5 million meals. It just
it's just like it's mine.
There's no stopping us now.
Yeah,
so.
no doubt about it. And you guys will hit 10 at some point. I'm sure very soon. So
I've got to deal with someone that once we hit 10, I shook his hand, so that I shouldn't have, but we'll be jumping out of an airplane together. And I'm afraid of heights, so that is not. I'm like, why did I do that? So I might try to negotiate some different celebration tactic, but jumping out of an airplane is not. And we want to get to that 10 million. So
I love it.
That's what
you
it's
guys are
take,
well
we'll
on
get there
your
and
way
I'll jump
there.
out. But
I love it. That's awesome. What advice would you give aspiring entrepreneurs, business owners who want to have their business also make a difference, not just be for profit? And profit's important because it's how you support your family and other families and yourself, and also how the business grows. The business doesn't grow if it's not profitable. So what advice would you give?
Anyone coming up or building business now or even has been in it for a while, if you don't have a set of core values that you're living by, like, to me, that just makes all the difference so that you don't change who you are in the name of business, Partner with people that align with those and that you can work together towards that with a common mission. I just feel like that's been pivotal to our success, is knowing what we're trying to go after. And if there's some social aspect or community build or charitable aspect to that, you've got to build it into your margin. But sometimes that means trimming back a little bit on payroll, or sometimes that means looking for efficiencies elsewhere. But that's okay. I don't know. The way I look at life and business is definitely not my life, but it's an asset to my life that I have a resource now to do good. And I feel a stewardship over that. Probably the best advice I ever received was from my father. And my father passed away this last year. It's been hard. It had nothing to do with his heart health. He had a fall and broke his neck. They resuscitated him and they said his heart was incredibly strong. And the product we had created was for my dad. So he was an inspiration then. He still continues to be today. But there was a time in my life where there was just a lot going on. I was trying to succeed in business. I was trying to succeed as a husband, as a father, in church, whatever it was. And I wanted to do good. I wanted to succeed, but do good with it. And so I asked him to come and give me some counsel. And through some counsel that he gave me that day, it was simple, but I'll always remember it. And this might not resonate with everyone, but it was exactly what I needed and has been what I've needed ever since. And I feel like if people could adopt it in some way, shape, or form, their lives will be blessed. But he just said, study, understand, and implement the characteristics of Jesus Christ. And as a husband, as a father, as a business owner, as a team member, whatever it may be that you're doing in life, you'll succeed. And so that's the best advice I've ever received, because there's characteristics and attributes, in my opinion, of the perfect leader that, if followed, success comes in many different ways. And we have to be careful as to how we define success. Had somebody once tell me that, what was the quote that he shared? Success is knowing that those who know you best love you most. It has nothing to do with the car you drive or the house you live in, but those you love and those that love you, they understand your character. They understand what you're about, and so they love you most. But I also take that to our recognizing God core value at Mountain Ops. He knows us best and loves us most. So trust in that. Trust in the characteristics we can learn through a perfect leader and follow those. And that's made all the difference in my life. I'm super, super far away from that, but it's something that's constantly in my mind as something to work towards. But
I love that. And obviously, it's a huge part of who you are and a huge part of what you guys are about, and it's been a major driving force moving everything forward, I think, for you and everything you guys have touched. What is really on the horizon for Mountain Ops, and where do you feel like it's going to be in 5 to 10 years?
We've got a lot going on right now. Product pipeline continues to grow. We've got additional energy. Energy's been our biggest segment of our product category. Ignite's our number one selling product, which is a cardiovascular, energy, and brain Ignite blend. We've got some new form factors of that coming out. We've got a mind and mood product coming out next year. Hydration, this product right here, it's called Hydrate, is massive for us right now. It's growing to become one of the top selling products. But then moving into areas of our marketplace that really haven't been focused on, and which gives us more market penetration in the Midwest and East Coast. East Coast, 90% of the hunting community is back there. We're here on the West Coast where 10% of the community resides, and we're penetrating that market really well. And they actually are the influence to the 90%. That small portion influences that 90%.
We have the big mountains here.
We've got the big mountains. Everyone aspires to get out after elk, and have that challenge. Well, our products help them with that, and we kind of give them a glimpse into that through our content and everything. But we are starting to show up in those markets with events and ambassadors. We just signed Rich Froning. He's 8-time CrossFit champion, fittest man on earth, and he's got a massive audience that's unique. and different to what we've gone after, but a lot of them, he's big into the outdoors and hunting. And so usually it's got to have that type of crossover.
Yeah.
It can be an athlete in CrossFit, but they've got to have a mind for the hunt and for the outdoors. And so guys like that are helping us to influence that marketplace. So just continued market penetration into new geographical areas and such, and growing our Conquer Hunger program to hit that 10 million mark. And so we've got a lot on the horizon, a lot of exciting things. So
that's amazing. And I love your products. Like it, and so do many of my friends. It's super cool what you guys have done. Not only does it like taste good and have its effect, but like, and then you add the whole community aspect of what you guys are doing. It's just like layer upon layer. What do you feel has been the biggest, I guess, maybe marketing channel or driver to growth? Has it been the community aspect? Do you feel like performance marketing's layered in with all of that's been helpful? Talk to me about some of the tactics you guys have deployed.
Yeah, I mean, in the initial phases, it was definitely building the community, working with ambassadors and partners that organically would help us grow our social following and our ability to connect and communicate with that community. You look at hunting, and it is a community on its own, but then we brought in like this fitness side of it, and this nutrition side of it, and being healthy and conscious about that so that people can enjoy their passion more. And so that's been incredible to build that. But that was the first phase, and not having a lot of performance marketing dollars to spend. But then it is to get into some marketplaces where we can't reach on the ground. We had to start, using some performance marketing techniques and buying ad space and affiliate programs and diving into that and building a budget over time that, it definitely makes a difference. And we're playing into that. We still haven't forgotten, though, and we still utilize our ambassadors and events and the team that way to build as organically as possible, but it requires the team to build out a bigger structure and to focus in on that as well. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. I think that's fantastic. What is really next for you, your family? I mean, you've been involved with Mountain Ops, and you've got this book that's coming out. You've got a lot of things like personally going on too. Maybe talk a little bit about the book, and that's coming out. You just literally recorded the audio session
this week.
Like this week or last
Austin,
week,
Texas, on Monday, Tuesday, in a recording studio with the lights. Well, there was no lights. There was lights on the screen, but I had a big screen in front of me, and recording. Reading your own book for, I think I was in there 5 hours the first day and 8 hours the next day.
Oh my gosh.
Was difficult. The muscles of your mouth stop working. You start to see things on the screen that word's not there. So I don't know. I'm not a pro at it. This is new to me. It's new territory. It was a really cool experience, though, just from the lows and the highs as far as emotions go. And I've second guessed many times, like, why in the world am I doing this? And, should I do this? And even while I'm down there, I'm second guessing myself, just feeling inadequate. I'm not launching a book because I feel like I have like the world's secret to share that's going to change everyone's life. I have a story to tell, and I believe that God's given me some stories to tell and some unique experiences in life. And if, at first when I started writing this, it was over 5 years of writing just slowly in my journal. Our Conquer More Challenge at Mountain Ops became the mental section of it. When I really got serious about the book, that became my goal.
4 aspects, right?
Yeah, spiritual, physical, mental, social. And the mental, like I would always tell my accountability partner, I've got some journal writing I'm going to do this week. I'm going to write 400 words in my journal. That was all really, I was just trying to hide the fact that I was writing a book. So I was writing 400 words for my book. And then in January this year, I told the team I've finished a book and I'm writing it. But I finished it actually 2 years ago, and then hired an editor to go through that process with me for a year. And they were incredible at tying everything together, making sure that it flowed correctly.
Good. Yeah.
Because I'm not a writer. My spelling was horrible. My grammar was horrible. But I had these stories that I felt inspired and compelled to share, in hopes that, looking back on that quote, you're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. Hopefully somebody, a young father, a young husband, an aspiring business owner that might be feeling like they're just not figuring it out. Hopefully something that I share can help them, can give them some guidance or whatnot. But I wrote it initially just like I wanted my wife and my children to have these stories written down so that they could hopefully bless their lives, because they're a part of so many of these stories. And for whatever reason, we have so many of them to tell. And I've just recognized like that's such a gift. So
a good legacy.
Leaving the legacy, and hopefully for the future grandchildren. So that's what I started with. And then I shared with our board members at Mountain Ops that I had written a book, and they thought, well, if this has some backstory to Mountain Ops, and really what it's made up of is the entrepreneurial journey. before Mountain Ops, how we got to Mountain Ops, the core values of Mountain Ops play into the phases of this book, and then the Conquer More Challenge, the Conquer Code being those 4 sections, ultimately in the end with Jesus Christ being the Conquer Code. He's the author and finisher of my faith. He's on every page of that book. He's on every page of my life, and I hope to inspire people to recognize that he is on theirs as well. And so I hope from a business standpoint that it gives us a tool that people read and think, okay, there's this brand I wasn't aware of, or I was aware of it, and it gives a little bit of a glimpse into maybe more of what they're doing, and I'm interested in joining them, But more than anything, it's to, I have always said my why is to awaken the divine within individuals that I'm able to come in contact with. So if I can help spark or light something within an individual that's like, okay, they know a little bit more about who they are and how they play into this incredible life, then I hope that happens. So
I love that.
So that's coming out July 16th is the launch date of that, but I just did the recording this week, and it was an interesting process.
I'm sure.
As you've seen right now, like, I am no stranger to sweaty eyes, and so my
I got you going today.
Being in the fitness industry, you sweat from interesting places, including the eyes. I sat in that recording studio and I cried through a lot of my book reading, and I just told the guys, I was like,
just keep
I
going.
can't do this. I don't know if I can do this again or any other way. So it's going to be what it is. I've not listened to a audio book where I've listened to the author cry as much as I just did in the recording. But
I love it, man.
They're special stories to me, and they're experiences that I just hold dear, and I hope that they're received that way, but...
Well, I'm also excited to listen to it and read it, but I'm excited to listen to it too, because I think it's special when the author themselves does narrate it 100%. Yeah. What's your favorite story from the book? And maybe share it.
There's a couple. It actually starts out with, and again, it's a lot of reference to Jesus Christ. The story in the intro, it's a story of my 4-year-old daughter. When she was 4 at the time, she's 11 now, but Savvy is our youngest. And I remember on a Sunday morning, woke up. I love Sunday mornings when it's quiet in our home, and I could go to my office, and my favorite thing to do is drink some Hot Ignite from Mountain Ops.
Yeah.
This is not a product plug. And to have my scriptures, just dive into the scriptures. My mom's always called those her letters from home. So every day I open up my scriptures, I consider it reading a letter from home, from my heavenly home. And that's one of my favorite things to do while the family's asleep, because I know I've got an hour or two while they're sleeping.
Yeah.
They're peaceful. We're all here under the same roof. And I remember that Sunday morning going down to my office, feeling that same way, just the home office. And little Savvy woke up and she ran past me in the hall. And I had this distinct impression as she ran past me that while she can't read the scriptures, I can teach her to find some really important names and words in the scriptures. So I told her, Savvy, grab your scriptures and come in my office with me. So she did that. She had this little set my mom had given her, my mom and dad. And so I wrote down on a little sticky note the words Lord, God, and Jesus. And I said, hey, I know you don't know how to read, but I want you to find these words in these pages. I gave her a red pen, and she opened it up kind of like she would have Where's Waldo book, just going to town, like looking through there. And she found Lord, and she circled it, and she said, Dad, I found Lord. I said, good, do it again. And so she went, she flipped the page, and she got super excited. She was like, I found the Lord again. And
that's awesome.
That was exciting for me to see as a father, because I'm like, yeah, you found him again. She flipped the page. I found the Lord again. She just kept going.
Yeah.
And then it was time to go to church. We went, and she sat in the pew next to me, and she, every few minutes, would lean over. I found the Lord again. She was just so excited.
Especially
Best babysitting tool.
Especially at 4 or 5, man.
But she was just
huge.
circling this this book. We came home, and even late into the day, it was dinner time. She had her dinner in front of her, but she had this spiritual feast next to her. And during dinner, we all laughed because she just kept saying, I found the Lord again. And that night I tucked Savvy in bed and gave her a kiss. And she said, Dad, do you want me to do this every day? And of course, the feelings of a tender parent, I said, yes, Savvy, I want you to find the Lord again and again and again every day of your life. I believe.
Making my eyes sweat, man.
And so that's one of the stories that just kind of starts the book so that I can let people know. And I share in there, like, I revere, respect, and honor that there's going to be people that read that do not have the same beliefs as me. But I respect and honor what they do have, what they do believe in. And it's okay that we have different beliefs. And I'm just going to be unapologetic about mine. Yeah. And I'm going to share mine the most beautifully way I can without, trying to mince words. I'm just going to share who I am and what I'm about. And that through the pages of that book, you'll find the Lord again and again and again in each of my stories shared. And in the end, He's my Conquer Code. So that's why I wrote it, and that's the message I hope to share with the world.
I love it. Trevor, it's been an absolute honor to have you on today.
No,
Thank
it's
you for
been
sharing
great.
your story, man. Like, you literally, you got me going too. So we may as well end here. But I really appreciate you, and thank you for sharing your story and being open. And I'm excited for your book.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.
Means a lot.
Where can people find you if they want to connect with you, hear more about your story, and learn more about Mountain Ops?
Yeah, Mountain Ops, MTNOPS.com, and that's our handle as well on Instagram, MTNOPS, and then just my name's Trevor Farnes, so you can just look me up there. But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, man. That's a wrap for Scroll Sessions today. Appreciate it.
Thanks.